Okay, hello, I'm KOMIKO and I'm here to brag about Cyborg #1. Writer is David E. Walker. Penciler is Yvonne Reese. The inker is Joe Parado. The colorist is Adriano Lucas. The letterer is Rob Lay. The cover was done by Reese, Prado, and Lucas. The variant cover was done by Tony Harris. I don't have the variant cover, I have the normal cover. The editors are Harvey Richards and Brian Cunningham. And Cyborg, as we know, was created by George Perez and Marv Wolfman. Now, how do I feel about this comic? Now, the first thing that I have to say about this comic is I was very skeptical about Cyborg and how he was going to be portrayed in DC because I am fairly new to comics. I came on at the end of Amazo and beginning and jumping on. No, was it? Yes, it was at the end of Amazo. I jumped on to start to Justice League, so I'm fairly new to Cyborg as a character. I didn't really get a feel for him, so I've heard from a lot of people that he's kind of a shitty character. So I was kind of iffy about Cyborg. Although I pick it up because I pick up all of DC's line as of right now, and Cyborg is freaking amazing. Now, Cyborg, the one thing that I have to say, this review would be incomplete without it, is that they do a lot of characterization for Cyborg. You get to see his relationship with his father, and you get to see his relationship with the many people that work with his father, and of course his best friend, whose name is Amy. And it's very interesting because you get a very strong feel for every character, even though there are about 5 or 6 that show up. Cyborg he's characterized very well. You get to see his struggles with his father and how he deals with the stress. He's the main thing here is he's always grown up with his father being kind of a shitty person. So he's gotten used to it, but his friend Amy is like, no, you shouldn't accept that, things like that. So those kinds of things get brought up, and Cyborg's clearly not okay with the relationship that he has with his father sometimes, or how his father acts around him. So it brings up a lot of issues for the character. Points that I will give to this comic is that they do not jump into the action. In fact, there's actually no action that really shows up in the comic. It shows up in the comic, but not around Cyborg. What happens is you get to see another battle that's taking place on another galaxy entirely, introducing you to the Tech Breakers, I believe, who are the main antagonists for this first arc, at least. My next point for this comic will be how they characterize the setting, although I've already gone over that. It's very interesting to me how they can pack that much character and personality into the different characters. He references Walker. He references a lot of stuff that happens in the previous previous events about Cyborg. As Cyborg is narrating, he talks about them. I don't know any of those events, but it's almost, I don't know if he was going for that, but it's almost funny, because he's like, oh, the first time I died, this happened, and the second time I died, this happened, and the third time I died, and it goes on like that. Not exactly in that way, but it didn't really come across as too doom and gloom. It was almost funny. And I think that was the point, because Cyborg does joke a little bit about the past events that happened with him and him, nearly dying. Although other characters, I will say, Cyborg gets a ton of characterization. We get to see his relationship with his family and with his friends, and I see him as a person, not as a hero. And you get the same feel for with the other characters in the story, with the person like Amy, who you get to see how they react to Cyborg and to the setting that goes on around them. So everyone gets their fair share here. Moving on, we get to see a good what's the word? Along with Cyborg and along with the different characters, the tone is also very nice, because again, not that much action happens to Cyborg directly. We get to see the Tech Breakers in another galaxy fighting, which the reason why this is great is because they can have their hook. They can hook the people that want action without compromising what they're trying to do with Cyborg. So you get your action. Of course, I like story over action, so I wouldn't have even minded an issue where there was no action at all, just Cyborg talking. But I don't mind it, because you get to see the calm life of Cyborg in contrast to all this stuff that's about to go down. And I've heard a lot about slow, like writers that do a slow burn. It can really hurt the comic. But Walker has a nice way of doing a relatively slow burn with the first issue, while still keeping that action to keep anyone else with a shorter attention span hooked. So if you're an action fan, you'll still enjoy this issue, even with the slower pace that they take with Cyborg himself. Moving on, the art is also very nice. The art was done again, as I said, by Rays. It's a nice mix between realistic and cartoony. It's not really cartoony at all, but they're not going for the ultra realistic. It's a bit reminiscent of DC's earlier, more uniform art style, but I still see slight differences that keep it from being boring to me. Other than that, there's not really much I can say about the comic. I was just really impressed by the characterization that they did with Cyborg, or should I say Victor Stone, I believe his name is. I was just very surprised by it because I wasn't expecting much from this comic, but the mix of characterization, action, you actually feel sentimental for these characters on top of the really great action, and the art is great on gore and just capturing those little details on every alien and alien geometries. The artist is fantastic at just capturing every tiny detail in an image, which is how I know that when these action scenes pop up in Cyborg, I'm gonna really appreciate them because the writer knows how to do them. That's really all I can say about it. The characterization was really good, the art was really good, and I was surprised by how they got Cyborg to be a sentimental character while still keeping the action for other demographics. Now, again, that's all I could say. It's been KOMIKO. Thank you for listening.